just building on it and figuring out like, what am I trying to get out of this athlete? Like, I understand that not every single person is going to be capable of going to worlds, right? So I think like the mindset of just getting the most out of each person and understanding that for a lot of people, this is a hobby and not their whole life. You could be like very like strict with people, which is not a bad thing. Like obviously, like you said, like holding people to high standard is very important, at least within the parameters of the rules of the sport. But if somebody is like, hey man, like I went out for drinks last night, if I'm just to like scold them over it, like how is that going to help them in the next 2 years of powerlifting?
Yeah.
So I think just like a general approach of being like, hey man, like that's fine. But like, here are like the pros and cons of these different decisions.
Yeah.
Here's when it might be a good idea to do this. Here's when it might be a bad idea. And then just leaving it up to them is kind of how I've approached it with a lot of people. Again, it just depends on what their goals are. Because if you're coming to me and saying, hey man, like I want to go to Worlds or I want to get this NATS QT, but then your actions don't match what you're saying, then that's a different conversation.
Yeah, I like that you're framing it as like meeting people where they're at, both in skill and just their social life. Obviously, there's like positives and negatives to every choice and any situation. I'm usually the same where like, no, this won't kill your gains over the long term once, but if it's like a habit that changes things, or it's too frequent, that changes things. And usually just try to lay that out to people and just be clear with them, like, you know, you will not recover as well if it's you know, going out for some drinks, and just just be aware of that, and that will just make your decisions based on that, and also modify your expectations based on that as well is part of it. And just be realistic with yourself. So on that note of trying to have a great community, how have you worked to develop that in an online space?
I think one thing is just a lot of our athletes stemmed initially just from BC. So that made it kind of easy because we'd either be all training together on the island, or I would go out to the mainland and train with people. And then at meets, we'd all kind of come together, and we have a very like team-oriented process in terms of handling. Because let's say like we have like 20 lifters competing at a local or at provincials or something. Me and Liam can't do that on our own. So we're like, we expect you to come help your teammates. So with that, like we're teaching people how to run warm-ups. We're teaching people how to like handle in the back room and stuff like that. And then because people are helping each other, then when it's the other person's turn to compete, those people who were helped kind of come out and help. And that's kind of gone across from just BC to like even some of my lifters in Manitoba and Ontario. And like Luke, I know Luke's like not on like PRC, but you know, he came out to BC and like helped all week with Westerns handling and stuff like that. So, and like I went out to Manitoba for Manitoba Provs, even though I only had a couple lifters. And one of my lifters actually came with me. He was like, hey, I'll come and like help out. And I think that when you have that